Today we're going to be talking about interest. We're on page 155 in our notebook, so go ahead and pause your video so that you can set up your notebook. Your learning goal says I will be successful if I can. 1. Identify and explain the pieces of the simple interest formula. I is equal to PRT, so we're going to be using this formula. And 2. Identify and explain the pieces of the compound interest formula, which is A is equal to P parentheses 1 plus R close parentheses to the T exponent. And your language goal says describe the difference in the answers to simple interest and compound interest formulas. So we're looking for the difference between simple and compound, so keep that in mind. Alright, most of the time you have to work to get your money, but your money can actually work for you. So when you deposit money into the bank will actually pay you interest or extra money for leaving that money with them. Alright, so let's go ahead and fill in our anchor chart. It's a half sheet that's on your desk, so go ahead and get this out. It's a simple interest anchor chart. The I know that stands for interest. The big P there I know stands for principal. And principal is just the starting out amount that you have, what you're giving the bank, what kind of money that you're giving the bank. I know that R stands for rate, and T stands for time. Time would be in years, and your rate is that percent. And so when I solve for this, what I'm actually looking for is only my interest, looking for only the amount that the bank is going to pay me, not including what I've already given them. Alright, let's look at our compound interest formula. And so I know that this A stands for amount accumulated. And all this means, all amount accumulated means is that it's going to include the interest plus what I already gave the bank. P stands for principal. R stands for rate, which I know is my percent, and then T stands for time, which will be in years. And so when I solve for this, what I know is that I'm looking for the amount accumulated. I'm looking for that interest plus the principal, plus that money that I gave the bank originally. Alright, let's look at our first example. This is $500 deposited into a savings account that earns 4% simple interest for 3 years. So first I need to highlight. Anytime I have a word problem, I want to highlight the important information. I know that 500 is important. I know that 4% simple interest is important and 3 years. And so on top of what I already wrote or highlighted, I want to write down the letters that they represent. My principal is the 500. That's what I'm giving to the bank. My 4% is my rate. And my 3 years is my T for time. Alright, so let's go ahead and calculate our interest. I need my simple interest formula, which is I is equal to PRT. And I'm just going to fill in these variables. My principal is at 500. That's what I'm going to be starting off with in the bank. My rate is 4%, but I need to change that to a decimal. I can never just multiply a percent just like it is. So I got to move that over 2 times. And I get 0.04. And then my time, which is in years, would be 3. Then all I have to do is multiply these. I can easily multiply 500 and 3. 500 times 3 will give me 1,500. And I just got to multiply 1,500 times 0.04. And 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 plus 2 is 6. Then I add all of these up, but I'm going to get just 6,000. And I know I need to move it over 2 times. And I get $60. So what I know is that my interest is equal to $60. So that's how much the bank is going to pay me on top of what I've already given them. but I have to calculate the total amount that I'm going to have in my account now. So if I started off with $500 and then the bank gave me $60, I want to add those to find the total. And so my total in my account now is $560. So to find the total, all I had to do was start with my original amount and add my interest. Alright, example B says Greg invests $2,000 in a savings account that pays 3.5% simple interest. If he makes no withdrawals or deposits to the account, how much will be in the account after 7 years? So go ahead and highlight the important information. He gives them $2,000 to put in that savings account. It pays 3.5% simple interest. And he's not making any withdrawals for 7 years. And after I've highlighted, what I want to do now is I want to write on top of each thing that I highlighted. I want to go ahead and write what they mean. 2,000 will be my principal. That's what I'm going to put in that savings account. 3.5 would be my rate. And 7 years would be my T for time. So let's go ahead and solve this one. I know that I'm looking for simple interest, so I need the simple interest formula. And all I have to do is fill in these numbers. P, I start with 2,000. R, I have 3.5%, but I have to still move that decimal over 2 times. So now I have 0.035. And I want to multiply that by my time, which is 7. So again, I can easily multiply 2,000 and 7, and I know that that gives me 14,000. And I want to multiply that by 0.035. Five times 0 is going to give me 0. 5 times 4 will give me 20. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Put a placeholder, cross out what I've already used. 3 times 0 will give me 0. 3 times 4 will give me 12. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. And I want to go ahead and add this up. 7 plus 2 is going to give me 9, and then I bring down that 4. But I know I need to move that decimal over 3 times. And so I get $490. So the interest that the bank is going to pay me for leaving my money in there is $490. But I also want to calculate the total. So in order for me to calculate the total, I want to start off with what I put in the bank, which was $2,000. And I want to add my interest of $490. And I end up with $2,490 as the amount that's in my savings account right now. Alright, let's go ahead and get this paper out. This is going to be a we do. And then you're going to do the one that's on the very bottom on your own. So it says Stephen is 25 years old when he starts saving money for retirement. Stephen opens an account with an initial deposit of $5,000. The bank offers several retirement savings options. And so then your question says, how much interest would Stephen earn at the end of 5 years with each savings account? So again, let's highlight the important information. So he gives an initial deposit of $5,000. That's going to be my principal. I'm looking at 5 years, which is going to be my time. And then I want to go ahead and use this table here to fill in everything else. So I know that this $5,000 is my principal, so let's go ahead and write that where it says principal. It's going to be $5,000 for both principals in both accounts. Alright, so let's look at our basic savings account first. My basic savings account, I want to find where it says here. So I'm looking at that. I know that I have a simple interest, so I want to use the simple interest formula. I is equal to PRT. And then I have to figure out how much interest I'm earning and then my account balance at the end. So let's go ahead and solve for my interest. So I use I is equal to PRT. My principal being my $5,000. My rate being my percent, but remember I got to change that 3% to a decimal, so it's actually 0.03 times my time, which is going to be 5 years. Well, I know that 5,000 times 5 easily gives me 25,000. And I just have to multiply 25,000 by 0.03. And let's see what we get. Three times 0 is going to give me 0. 3 times 5 will give me 15. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. And all I have to do is move that decimal over 2 times, which will give me $750. So I know that my interest earned is $750. But in order for me to find my account balance, I know that I need to add. So I want to add 750 plus my principal, because I'm adding principal plus my interest. And so what I have is I have 5,000 as a principal and 750 as my interest, and if I add those, I get 5,750 as how much is in my account right now. Then let's look at the money market savings account, which is a little bit different. So if I want to look at money market savings account, I look at my chart up here, and let's see what we have. So first I want to use my formula. If I use that half sheet that we filled out earlier, I know that my formula is A is equal to P, open parentheses, 1, plus R, close parentheses, and T as an exponent. So I have to figure out the interest earned and my account balance. But remember when I solve for compounded interest or compound interest, I'm actually solving for my interest and my principal included. So let's go ahead and solve for some of this. So I have A is equal to my principal, open parentheses, 1 plus R, close parentheses, to the T power. So my principal is still going to be that $5,000, putting the same amount in each account, 1 plus my rate. My rate is also 3%. Remember I have to move that decimal, so 0.03 to the T power, and it's still going to be 5 years. I know that 1 plus 0.03 is 1.03 to the 5th power, and I'm going to go ahead and use a calculator to solve for 1.03 to the 5th power. Right, so on my calculator what I got was 1.159, sorry. And so I only want really 2 places after the decimal, but this 9 tells me to round that 5 to a 6. So that's going to be 1.16. So that's what I put there. So all I have to do is multiply these two. Six times 0 is going to give me 0. 6 times 5 will give me 30. 1 times 0 is 0. 2 placeholders this time. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. And then I add these up. I know I need to move this over 2 times. So what I get is $5,800. But what I know is that this is a compounded annually. And so that actually goes in my account balance here, because my compounded interest I already have added my interest in there as well. And then I have to work backwards. So in this case I have to subtract. So in this case what I do is I subtract my total minus my principal, and that will give me my interest. So 5,800 minus 5,000 is going to give me 800. So notice how those are both different. So it really depends on what type of interest your bank account is going to give you. So if it gives you a simple interest, then it's really straightforward. You just make a certain amount. If you get compound interest, you have the potential of making more money, which works out in your end if that's going to the bank. It wouldn't work out in your favor if you were to give a loan or something like that, because you'd have to pay more. So go ahead and glue these notes in, and what I want you to do is I want you to do the you do, and you're going